Hi, everyone. I'm Tiff O'Connell, and I'd like to welcome you to O'Connell Law's Lunch and Learn. So, this is where you get to sit at your own desk, hopefully somewhere that is comfortable, eat your lunch, and listen on a topic that we want you to know about. So we've been on hiatus from doing these for about 2 years because, they were so good, we decided to stop. So we actually are restarting these. So we're thrilled to have Dan Traub, who I will introduce momentarily, as our first guest as we come back doing these webinars. So now we normally limit these webinars to 30 minutes. We will limit this discussion presentation to 30 minutes. So this presentation will end at 30 minutes. However, we will stay on. This seems to be a very hot topic. And because of that, we want to try to stay on to answer some questions for you. So please, as we go along, feel free, post in the chat or the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen for any questions that pop up for you. We will hopefully have time afterwards to answer those questions. So for those that do have time, stay on and hear what others are wanting to know about. So with that, let's get started. I would like to introduce Dan Traub as our guest today. Dan is a senior financial advisor at Montis Financial. His responsibilities include investment management, retirement planning, and providing comprehensive wealth management advice. Dan is a 38-year veteran of the financial services and investment management industry. Dan is a multi-year recipient of Boston Magazine's 5-Star Wealth Manager Award, a real testament to his dedication to providing excellent financial guidance. His expertise has also been featured in articles published in Technical Analysis of Stocks and Commodities, the Boston Business Journal, and Financial Planning magazine. In addition, various traditional as well as online publications have quoted his views on financial issues and markets. I asked Dan to come today. I've known Dan for many, many years, and we were recently sitting down and having breakfast together. And Dan happened to talk to me about a financial scam that his mom was subject to. And that's when any professionals, like, well, anyone, period, but especially us professionals who are hoping that we are wise and we know it can happen to any of us. And because of that, I asked Dan to one, come and talk about what happened, but then also to share with us a presentation he had put together for his own group, but that he is now starting to share with others. And so, with that, Dan, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. So as Tiff said, I've been a financial advisor for 38 years. I'm not, I don't work for Fortinet or Palo Alto or one of the companies where all I do is security. But I guess being a financial advisor, I'm really at the sort of the front end of it because I see what happens to my clients and try and help them out through the situation. But it really hit home when it happened to my mother earlier this year. Um, One of the first report I get every morning on my desk is any money that was added or taken out of any of my clients' accounts. And my mother's a client, and I see a transaction for $46,000 out of her account, which of course, you can imagine, I know 99.9% of these cash flows before they happen because I know my clients. So I immediately log on to Fidelity. I see, yes, there was a transfer out of her account. Luckily, it went to her bank account, which I'm a co-owner of. So I log and I see it's still there. And so I call the bank up and we immediately put a freeze on the account. And I call my mother. I says, Mom, did you do this? Oh, yes. What happened? Well, this lovely woman from Microsoft called me and she's been helping me. I said, Mom, this woman is not lovely and she's not helping you. And so we were able to limit her losses, but thank goodness I got involved when I did, because the next day I'm sure that $46,000 would have been gone. As it happens, they did make away with 11,000, but we were able to cover 1,500 of that. And the 1,500 was because it was directly transacted through the bank. The 11,000 she lost was because they convinced her to go to her bank and take out cash. So there's a lot of things that were red flags for her that should have been along the way. And we're going to talk about red flags that you can see to try and avoid these problems for yourself. But it's harder and harder because that the fraudsters are getting more and more sophisticated every single day. And so, I'm constantly going to webinars, seminars on the subject. And I'm always learning new things because there's new things coming up all the time. So maybe we can go into the presentation at this point.
Yeah, and so folks, we're going to actually do a PowerPoint presentation. We normally don't do it during this type of setting, but we are going to do it here just because it very much makes sense. So just bear with me. I'm going to get this set up. Dan, are you seeing your PowerPoint
I
presentation?
am, yep.
Excellent. I am. You're at your service, so I'm going to go ahead
Okay.
and
Yep,
advance
we could
on.
go forward to the next page, which has boring stuff like who I am and my contact information, which I'm certainly happy to be a resource for anybody out there that has questions on this subject or any financial question really. But um, that's
Awesome.
not much more on this one. But really, the thing is, a ton of money lost to financial fraud. Um, this is 12.5 billion in 2024, 25% more than it was in 2023. But the bottom line is it's probably much higher. Not everybody's willing to share their information like my mother reports it. They're ashamed and they just let it happen. They don't tell anybody. So the number is probably much, much higher. You can see the biggest two areas for loss: investment scams, people promising returns that are unrealistic, or imposter. I'm from the IRS. I'm from Microsoft. I'm from wherever. Maybe you read the article in the very timely article in the Globe today that came out in the front, at least online. It was the front page online about this fellow who was willing to come forward with what happened to him. So it's a big topic. Uh, they'll contact you any number of ways: email, phone, texting. Uh, it's just rampant. I'm ready for the next page. So we're going to talk about the various types of fraud that there are, but there's common themes. The first one is check fraud. You ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can? That's what's the actor's name?
DiCaprio.
Leo, my buddy Leo DiCaprio. That's what he was doing. He was taking checks and he was whitewashing them and putting information on there. One of the things you can do is to use a pen that's specifically designed for writing checks. It'll actually say, I've got my pens here that I use. You don't have to use this kind, but it says right on it, protects against fraud. It's made a specific type of pen. So you might want to think about when you're writing checks, make sure you use a certain type of ink. Consumer fraud and retail fraud. That's when you buy things that are it's the too good to be true scenario. You see something that you know should cost $1,000. Gee, it's on sale for $250. How can I not get that? Well, you might want to check out the buyers, the sellers, because oftentimes it's not accurate. I was speaking with someone the other day who said, "Oh, I was a victim of this. What happened?" Well, my neighbor's moving, which I knew, and then I saw online somewhere that she was having a yard sale and they were selling this particular item, and my husband like, "We need one of those, and this is a great price." And we bought it, and then I contacted my neighbor who said, "We're not having any kind of online sale." So, I mean, it's just very easy to happen. Double checking and triple checking is always worthwhile. Credit card and debt card fraud, fairly obvious. Someone gets access to one of those two things and starts using them. They've got your three-code digit on the back, and they're going to start making purchases or taking out cash.
And Dan,
Uh,
before we advance to the next slide, I just want to add one more thing for the check fraud. And I was talking with my banker about what they're seeing on that, and they're seeing it all the time.
all the
And
time.
so something that they had said to consider is to consider having that checking account where you are writing checks as a small account and then funnel money into it as needed in order to be able to make sure that bad actors can't do a lot of damage.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Next one, the classic debt collection fraud. Someone calls you and said you owe money. You don't really owe it, but they make you feel like you do, and they put threatens on you, and you feel like you better get going, or else something bad's going to happen to you. The biggest one you hear about these days all the time. That's the fellow on the Globe article today, and my mother, obviously. Elder exploitation can come from any number of directions. I've actually had one of my clients fall for this one. I wish she'd called me first, but I can't do everything. But basically, it was called, said, "This is your nephew. I'm in trouble. I need money." AI can make it sound just like the nephew's voice these days. And so you really have to watch out. And you're going to see as we move along here, one of the things you can do is hang up and call the person or hang up and call the organization at a number you know to be accurate, because fraudsters make it seem like it's the person or a legitimate person, and they're not. Financial investment fraud, we talked about that briefly before, basically promising more than they can really deliver or a fake investment to begin with. Identity theft. A lot of these are overlap, essentially, little bits of overlap, but somebody gets access to your social security, your personal information, and they act as if they're you. They buy things, they make purchases, they get credit. If they get your information, there's any number of things that they can do.
Yeah,
Next
and
page.
um,
Yep.
I love being in control, Dan, because I get to decide when we switch slides.
Hmm.
So there's actually one additional thing I just want to point out for the AI piece. And that is if you ever have gotten a call and you've said like hello and there's nothing on the other end, be careful about saying anything more because they could be trying to get your voice for purposes of using it for other stuff that isn't good in the future. So
Right.
don't give more information than you need to until you know exactly who you're talking with. Yeah.
Terrific advice.
And by the way, please, I don't think I get to mention this because I was so darn excited about us doing this. Please feel free, post questions you may have in the chat or the Q&A section at the bottom. I think I might have mentioned, but if I didn't, please do so. And again, we will get to it at the end of this. Milani, just very quickly, how many people registered for this?
105.
So 105. So there was definitely some interest in this. So with that, Dan, I will now advance the slide.
Okay. So online and digital, these are getting more and more. There's probably a day that doesn't go by, at least in my email box, that I don't get somebody trying to phish or scam me. And we're going to talk about show you some specific examples in a minute. But you probably all see the same things in your emails. But there's some telltale signs most of the time that can help you alert that it's not real. The imposter scam, they can pose to be an imposter on any, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email. People pose as imposters, and you just have to be very wary of it. This is what I learned about recently at one of the events I went to. You know, the QR codes, you point your phone at the picture and it brings you to a website. Well, it turns out that some people will take false codes and put them on things like parking meters. And so you got to be careful when you use those. If you go to a restaurant, they say if you want to see the menu online, you're probably pretty safe there. Or if there's a QR code inside the window of a store that you see and you're interested in the product, that's probably safe. But outdoors in the general public, that anybody can come, you might want to be careful about using the QR codes because I've heard that's becoming more of a prevalent thing.
Yeah.
Now, really what it comes down to is a lot of this is, I mean, yes, it's common sense, but I call it vigilant common sense. Be very aware of what's going on. So I want to basically break it down into the do's and don'ts, if you will. Number one, look at things. It's not that difficult. Monitor your credit card reports. You can get one every year free from the major three credit card companies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I've got my calendar set up to, every quarter to have one of them send me a free credit report, and I look at it. You want to make sure there's nothing odd going on there. Probably even more important than that is freeze your credit report. So what does that mean? Let's say you go to buy a car and you decide you're going to buy it on credit because they're going to offer you 3% and you think that's pretty good. So what are they going to do? They're going to check your credit report. They want to make sure you're a good credit. And anybody can, at this point, look at your credit card. Any vendor can look at your credit reports. But what you can do is you can freeze your credit reports. You call those numbers on that I've listed here, and you basically put a freeze on your credit report, which means that nobody can get your credit report without your say-so. So in the case of this car dealership, what you'd say is, okay, you tell me, Mr. Dealer or Mrs. Dealer, do you prefer Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion? They say, oh, well, we use Experian. Great. You call up Experian, you unfreeze it for one day. You tell the financial person at the car dealership, go for it. You have a day to get the credit report, and it's frozen again. And that way, no one can apply for credit in your name. It's really one of the most important things you can do. As I said before, just monitor things. Look at your bank statement every month. Look at your credit card statement. There's a lot of people that just kind of pay it and don't look at it. And wait a second, what's that item there? I didn't order that. You better be aware of these things. Some
And
more
then,
do's on the next page.
and before we get there, one other thing, just because the freezing the credit reports to me is an essential thing everyone should be doing. Now, a lot of folks don't even have an account set up at Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Make sure you've set up your online account with them so that you can log in and do this as well. So calling, I love what Dan said on that, but also please know you can set up an online account with them. And so that can be very, very helpful too.
Yeah, just save your information for logging on or whatever passwords, whatever, because when you have to unblock it, if you don't have that information, it can be difficult.
And I know, Dan, you're going to talk about that in a minute.
So some more do's. You all know this one, I hope, multi-factor authentication. So basically you're logging onto your bank. Great, we're going to send a code to your phone. That's a must do these days also. It saved my mother actually because one of the things that these bad actors did while they were helping my mother. Oh, by the way, Microsoft called and they said to her, "We've detected that Russians have hacked your account." Why Russians would want to hack an 87-year-old woman's account that doesn't do anything online is beyond me, but somehow my mother fell for this. Um, but they had actually also figured out how she gave them access to her computer. They changed the password on her computer. She gave them access to her Fidelity account. They changed the password on her Fidelity account. Everything had to be fixed. Okay, so multi-factor authentication, very important. Something my wife and I do is we have two separate credit cards, one for everyday use out in the real world and one for online purchases. If something happens to the online card, we still have the one going that we didn't use for different purposes. Here's a key one. Someone calls you, you're pretty sure it's fake. It's a bank. They say they're Microsoft, whoever it is. You're not sure. Don't talk to them. Don't give them information. Say, and you could be nice. You could say, "Oh, thank you so much for calling. My policy is I call the company back directly on the line. So thank you. What's your name? I'll be calling the company momentarily." Don't call on the number they give you. Don't call if it's an email. Don't call on the number that's on the email. Call the number you know to be accurate for your bank or your credit card or whoever it is. And say, "Hey, I just got a call from your company." 99 out of 100 times they're going to say, "That wasn't us." But that's the way to make sure is to call a number you know to be accurate, not the one they give you. Use credit cards. And what I'm doing here is using the alternative is using debit cards. Credit cards are safer. The credit card really is there. If there's fraud, they're gonna get involved. They don't want fraud any more than you do. So they get involved and they'll get the money back a lot of times for you. Debit cards, money's gone. When it's out of that account, it's gone. If someone gets access to your debit card, they'll just empty your bank account, which makes it Tiff's advice about having the two accounts and funding the one from the other a really good idea because then if it does happen, they're going to have access only to the smaller account, if that makes sense. Shred documents with sensitive information. So you get something in the mail or something that you print out that's got your social security number, your account number on it, your date of birth, whatever it is. That's sensitive information that fraudsters would love to have a hold of. So don't just throw it out because bad actors will go through your trash. It's crazy to do, but people do it. And so shred it. At home, we have a pile. We just add to the pile, and every month or so, we have a shredding party. At work, I actually have a shredder right down here, and if something happens, right in the shredder. Don't wait. Don't pass go. I already mentioned the checks designed for this purpose. Use those. Consider using a password manager. These days, I'm sure you're like me. There's probably 50 different places I've got passwords for, and it's impossible to keep them all in your head. You don't want to be, if you remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and when he goes in the principal's office and all he does is he looks under the thing and there's all the passwords written there. You don't want to be that person with a piece of paper with all your passwords written down sitting on top of your desk. Don't be that person. I don't use one, but I know people that do, and they find it very helpful. Then you have one very strong password that you know for the passwords manager, and the passwords manager assigns very complex things that no one would ever understand, remember for all your information. It's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Um,
So we do use one both for business as well as personally, and it
yep,
really can be helpful. One other just quick comment is that please make whatever password you use complicated. Don't let someone be able to use that and leapfrog to something else,
yep,
or don't use it for every single account you have. It should be separate account passwords for each account.
yep. So this one I learned about recently. So if you've got a senior in your life who's maybe starting to have some issues mentally, you can get this TrueLink prepaid Visa card. And the neat thing about this one is that you can put, say, $5,000 on it, but you can also go in and say, but don't allow purchases of QVC. or don't allow purchases at Home Shopping Network, or don't allow purchases at the liquor store down the street, or whatever it is your parent might be inclined to overspend on. You can watch their spending, and that way, it really, rather than giving them a blank credit card where they can do anything, they still feel like they'll have their independence. They've got money on this card, but you could also say not good for certain things. So that's a decent option. Opt for e-delivery rather than snail mail. This goes to again the mail fraud. If a statement's in your mailbox, somebody can go and take it. They can't get out of your email address though. And it's not like they're sending you the actual statement in email. Typically, what it is they'll send you an email saying, like Fidelity sends you an email saying, your statement's ready for viewing. Go ahead and log in and see it. So much more secure than just having it in your mailbox. Do updates on your cell phone when they're asked for. Usually the security features, they're there to help you. I know sometimes they change some other features that you have to go back and change your signature or whatever. Sometimes it happens, but it's worth the security benefit to do the updates when they are requested of you. Here's one that came out recently, talking to somebody. If you're like me, you probably have 2 or 3 email addresses, but there's really one I use for work and one for personal. But I've got another personal one that I don't really use. Some people make the mistake of saying, I use this one for this, I use this one for this, and forgetting that, and they never check that one. And so if you've got an account somewhere where your old email address is there and they keep on sending information to that old one you're not looking at, bad things can happen. So make sure that you have the one email address that you actively look at with vendors. You can also put restrictions on your financial accounts. At Fidelity, there's, I think, 5 different levels of restriction depending on. So if you think, oh my God, I think I might have clicked on, I'm not sure. You know what? You can call Fidelity and you call your bank and you say, can we just put a fraud alert on my account? And they'll talk to you about the different levels of fraud alert, what they will let you do given the alert that's on there. And that can be another level of protection. And then lastly, as Tiff so wisely said, use strong passwords. If you didn't read this before, it's the most amazing thing in the world. You've all heard about the break-in at the Louvre. And I can tell you, by the way, my wife and I were in Paris at the time, and I swear we had nothing to do with it. But the idea is the password for their system was Louvre. I mean, just broke every rule in the book for passwords right there. It's crazy.
Jeez. So Dan, one quick thing, I'm going to advance slide. In addition to updates for your cell phone, make sure you're doing it for your computers.
Mm,
Always stay on top of those updates.
right.
Okay, Dan, let's take it into the don'ts.
Into the don't give your personal information to anybody. I don't care who calls you. They don't need to know your social security number. They don't. If they're calling you, they should have it already. If they're actually your vendor, they should have it already. They don't need to have it to verify with you. Don't give your information out. Don't give anybody access to your computer remotely. My mother did that. They said, "Oh, we can help you," and they took control of her computer. When I went to her house, as soon as I found about the fraud, froze her accounts at the bank. I drove to her because luckily she's only a half an hour from me. And I go to look at her computer and they're actively doing stuff on her computer. Immediately closed it, brought it to a tech guy that I know who cleaned the computer. But don't ever give anybody access to your computer. Only buy from vendors you know that you check out. Look at their ratings, look at their reviews, make sure they're legitimate. It's hard to do, but it's worth the work. Same thing with charities. There's lots of fake charities out there. I go to my mother once a month and we sit there and we write a bunch of checks because she's a charitable person. But I want to make sure that before I send a check to them, they're legitimate. This is one we're going to talk about more in a minute, but they can make it look like anything they want on your caller ID or the next one down, the from email address. Don't trust them. Just because it says on your phone, Dan Traub is calling, it may not be me or Tiff O'Connell, or the email that came through from Tiff may not be Tiff. You have to have your goggles on of fraud goggles. Make sure that and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I've got a few slides on that. The opposite of using credit cards is don't use debit cards. It says use. It should be say don't use debit cards. Well, it does say don't. Don't use debit cards. That's good. Don't use debit card. I mean, yes, get cash from them, but don't use it at all the vendors around, right? Obviously, you need it to get cash out of your ATM, but don't use your credit card at the grocery, at the Starbucks or whatever. Use your credit card. I never allow websites to save my data. If I'm buying something, I put it in there. No, I don't. You don't need to have it. I'll put it in next time. It's okay. I'll spend a couple of minutes. I don't want my information out there more than it needs to be. Another common scam is they'll say, listen, in the process of this, we'll send you a $10,000 check, and you just send us the $1,000 back, and that'll make sure that we'll work it out. It's never that way. The $10,000 check is fake, Anybody's asking you to send them money and they'll send it back, huge red flag. Don't do it. So some examples. So this is one that came to me. Looks legitimate. Action required. 401k advice, City of Boston. Except a couple things. I don't have a 401k with City of Boston. There's no reason they should be notifying me. If you look at the City of Boston email address, it's maria@sbcglobal.net. This is fake. It's right away. I knew this was wrong. I don't have any relationship with them. There's no reason that they're involved with my 401k. Fake. Next up, this one came from my mother, to my mother's account. She does know Sydney Ferguson. But then you look at like billing info secured, AG. I mean, who would write a topic with this many gobbledygook and look at the attachment, the same thing. But now if you forward one more slide, Tiff, if you hover your mouse over Sydney Ferguson, it's not coming from Sydney. It's coming from yufh769@gmail.com, which guess what? Is not Sydney Ferguson. So don't click on this link. Red flags. Here's one that came into me. Prime at Amazon. Well, I better it says update your payment method. Well, I better do that, right? Well, guess what? The spammers doesn't know this, but I don't have Amazon Prime. So that's one red flag for me. But even if I did, I would say to myself, that's weird. Let me go directly to Amazon Prime, to the website I know to be accurate, and see what they have on there. But also, here's the other red flag. Again, hovering your cursor, go back a second, Tiff.
Ah, Dan, that's beyond my challenge, my capability at the moment.
So anyway,
no, I think I got it. Here we go.
there you go. So again, you went
I
too
get
far.
excited. Sorry.
Again, hovering my cursor over the Prime at Amazon, which looks like a legitimate address. I see it's from laz@moneycubes.com. Another red flag, right? Next one. This one came in for me. Order at SHGS school. Oh, I mean, it's just, I've got nothing to do with this company. It's just clearly not for me. But someone say, well, gee, I wonder if maybe I should. There's not one thing in here that I do business. I do Windows 11, but that's through work. It's just nothing in here that says to me, oh my gosh, this is legitimate. So in the end of the day, be very wary of anybody who puts pressure on you to act now or any other time. You've got to do this now or else. Be wary of anybody that won't let you hang up. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call back Microsoft directly or call back my bank directly. If they won't let you, that's the red flag. If you read the article in the Globe today, what did the company the person that called the scam that fell in the Globe was from an energy company. And they said, yeah, your electricity's going to get cut off unless you do this, pressure. They put pressure on him, red flag. They called him, red flag. How do they want to make good on it? They said, go get some prepaid cards. And prepaid cards to settle an electric bill. Anybody that wants you to send cash, wires, prepaid cards, gift cards, crypto, huge red flag right from the get-go. They'll never ask for this type of thing. Anybody that won't send you details in writing is suspect. You're going to go back again to it. There you go. If they won't send you details in writing, it's probably a scam. And if they send, one of the things they convinced my mother to do was take an Uber to her bank because she doesn't drive anymore. But I've heard of situations where they say, oh, we'll send an Uber for you to go to your bank for you. They don't do that. So that's a red flag. Okay. Here's one of my pet peeves. They will never call you or rarely call you. Microsoft doesn't call you to tell you have Russian hackers have hacked your account. The IRS doesn't call you. I had an issue with the IRS earlier this year. What did happen? They sent me a letter. They said, we detected something in 2022 in your tax return. I sent them a letter back with my response. They sent me a letter saying not quite information. So I got my accountant involved. We sent more information back via snail mail. And they sent me a letter back saying, okay, that's good. Everything's resolved. There was no phone call. Not going to happen. Tax collectors don't call you. And by the way, you would know if you owe money, I would hope. The lottery doesn't call you. If you have to pay, if you just send $1,000, you'll win 100. If you have to pay, it's not a prize. The FBI, debt relief companies, car warranties, free trials, none of these people call you. If you get these calls, as Tiff said, don't even say more than hello if you can. What should you do? Hang up right away or say thank you if you want to be nice, because we all want to be nice. I want to say hi to the guy walking down the street. I want to be nice to people on the phone. Thank you so much for your call. I'm going to hang up right now and I'm going to call your company back. This is wonderful. Goodbye. Or you could just hang up. If you know that it's a scam right away, it's said if there's like a 5 second break between when you say hello and when someone says block the number. Ask them to send you something in writing. If they don't, they're probably not legitimate. And if you think it's legitimate, call back the company. Finally, live by this motto. I mean, it's true in life. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. To finish up, we just have at the end of the presentation, whoever gets it, there's a couple of resources in there that, there's some really good things on the National Council of Aging. There's some great things on AARP, and there's some places listed to what happens, where would you report this if something happens to you?
Yeah. So poor Dan, I let you take a breath for a moment. So we are at the half hour. Well done, Dan. We will in the next week or so be sending you out information so that you can download Dan's slides. He has given permission for that, so please take advantage of that. For those that do need to rotate off, I'm just going to quickly say, please watch for our future lifetime. There we go. Lunchtime webinars. Our next one is actually on Wednesday, December 10th at 12 p.m. That said, I am going to go right into the questions because, Dan, we have some questions. So, all right. So let me take a peek.
I hope I know the answer.
I know, pressure. All right. I I identify with loved ones a special password. Oh, I love this. Yes, set up with loved ones a special password that would be used to identify someone as a real person. Yes, that is actually something that is very much recommended today. So come up with something that isn't easy for someone to just know.
Yeah, that's great advice. Also, as you may recall from the story about my mother, I'm listed as her co-owner of her bank account, and I'm listed on her credit card, so I have access if I need to get involved, which I did. So if you have elderly parents, it's a good idea to be a backup for them that way.
Yeah, and we have one more question, or a comment, I think. I was told by credit that they didn't know. I'm just going to read it and then say, oh, I was told, so they apparently they were applying for something and they were told that they didn't know which credit service was going to be used and therefore unfreeze all three accounts. And then our person said that they then refroze everything. So, yeah, I mean, that could happen. But you can set time again, you can set a time limit.
Right. Yeah, you say do it for 2 days, and then you don't have to do anything else. Automatically goes back on in 2 days.
Yeah, yeah. So those are our questions. Dan, thank you so much for coming and talking with us about it. There's, I'm sure, the spin-off discussions we can be having, just diving into different topic areas on this. But everyone, please watch. We'll be sending you out some additional helpful information on this topic as we go forward. Thank you to everyone for listening in. Again, Dan, thank you so much for your time. And I wish everyone a good rest of the week. And stay healthy, everyone. Take care.